that I've never been there. Super excited.
Up until about 15 years ago, it was just not a nice city. But they came in. We got a lot of big corporations here, like Kroger's corporate headquarters, Procter and Gamble corporate headquarters, General Tool, Cintas. We got some big corporations here, and they all put together this money, and they realized that we're not going to be able to get any talent in this city, regardless of how much we pay these people. Nobody's going to want to come here unless we do something. So they put in billions of dollars to revitalize this area of downtown that was like one of the worst neighborhoods in the country. In 2006, there were over 80, I think it was 80 murders in a 1 square mile radius. In 2006, it was the worst neighborhood in the country, and they took it back and they gentrified it. And it was zoned historical, the whole neighborhood in 1971. So the whole thing is like Greenwich Village, but it's bigger and it's more beautiful because we don't have rent controls here. So rent controls disincentivize owners to fix up properties because you're capping out. Oh yeah. So Matt's telling me I gotta quit talking. Yeah, because we gotta.
Sorry, Nate.
No, hey guys, can you guys make sure all your cell phones are off?
And how's my sound? Does that sound okay? I've got this mic, but your sound
okay. Perfect. We're good on a mic over there. Okay. Okay, so how do you like to be introduced?
Anything you want. You can just say my name. You can say 2-time world champion. You can call me an author or a coach.
No. 25-time world champion, recognized twice.
You're awesome. Whatever you think is best for your listeners, but yeah.
Now, what is the ITU World Cup that you've won 12 times?
That is like the ultimate. It's like the highest level of the sport at the Olympic distance. So it's like, the skiing World Cup, or it's the highest level. So I basically went from not being able to swim at 23 years old to becoming the best in the world 8 years later, which was impossible. It was like an impossible dream.
Mindset. It's all mindset. Okay. Are you ready to start?
I'm ready. I'm always ready. Let's go.
We're recording already? Okay. So, guys, today on Lever Up Podcast, I have an amazing guest who has been able to overcome so much by levering up her mind. She is a 2-time world champ triathlete and a 12-time winner ITU World Cup. But it didn't always start that way. Welcome, Siri Lindley.
Thank you, Nate. I'm so thrilled to be here with you. Such a rock star. I loved having you on my podcast, so thrilled to be here. Thanks,
it was amazing being on your podcast, and you are coming to Cincinnati next month, and I hope to see you. If you're in town, if I'm in town, I'm coming to see you.
Oh, we're getting together for sure.
There you go. So let's go back though and start, because right now you're crushing it. You're a motivational speaker. You go out, and Tony Robbins said you're one of his favorite motivational speakers, which that's pretty big, right?
I feel so blessed, to speak on my greatest mentor's stage, stages around the world, his big events, Unleash the Power Within, Date with Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ultimate blessing. And I would have never imagined this, because it was Tony Robbins who, when I was 20 years old, a student at Brown University, and I know you had your troubles growing up. I had my troubles growing up, and my troubles were fear and anxiety. And this overwhelming pressure that led to me having this insane case of OCD. I'm sure everyone out there knows what OCD is, but like, I was one of those people that it would take me like an hour to leave my dorm because I was flicking the lights on and off 1,000 times to get some horrible thought out of my mind.
Wow.
So I felt like a crazy person. Okay.
Yep.
Crazy person. And that's when I discovered Tony, and the most simple thing that he ever said, which was, where focus goes, energy flows. What you focus on.
Wow. Wait, let's say that again. Where focus goes,
energy flows.
Wow.
Think about that just for a second. if you're thinking about everything that's wrong and all your problems and everything that's missing, that's what you're going to experience in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this came from his first book, Unlimited Power. And that one sentence, Nate, I mean, you think about
Changed
something
your
like
life.
changed my entire life, because it's like, wait a second, I'm creating this tragedy I'm living.
Yes.
Creating the
Yes.
suffering. I'm creating, you know, everything that I'm experiencing. So I thought, okay, what has to happen is I need to change a freaking channel.
Mm.
And that meant, instead of focusing on everything that was missing or everything that was wrong, I was going to focus on everything I had and everything that was right. And I was going to
That's
focus
right.
on everything rather than focusing on everything I didn't want to have happen,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on everything I wanted to create and that I loved and that I had all the control over, which is my own experience of life in every single moment.
That's
We
right.
all have control. We all get to go first in deciding what to focus on.
That
Are
is
you
exactly right. And listen, I had a similar experience in prison. I was in solitary confinement, so I want to reiterate to the audience what she is saying is what you spend your energy on and focus on is what your life will become. See, you are in charge of your life. And I'm not, look, this is about you today, but I just want to share this with the audience, guys. When I was in solitary confinement, I had a voice come to me and say, listen, you could be happy today if you want. And I'm in solitary confinement in prison. I'm thinking, yeah, right. How? How? What am I going to break out? What are you going to bring me a red Ferrari and some alcohol and women? Because that's my mind at the time. And his voice said, no, you just decide to be happy. That was in December of 1996. And I tell people, guys, I have not woken up a single day upset. I don't do it. I ain't wasting my time. I'm not being angry, because where your focus goes, your energy flows, right? Like you said.
That's right. And you
So
know what, like, you're in that prison, right? You're in
yeah.
solitary confinement.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we as humans put ourselves in that prison.
That's
That
right.
was a prison I was in. I was in my own prison, my solitary confinement. And you're right. I never thought of it as like a voice, but in a sense, reading those words from Tony Robbins was that voice saying, hey, life is up to you, girl. You want to stop suffering, that is up to you, and you can do that right now. And I tell people, like, that freed me from the chains of my OCD. And they're like, how's that possible? How do you just, you stop
Made
being
a
crazy?
decision.
It's a
Made a
decision.
conscious decision to change her life and level up. Now,
That's right.
did you go back to when you were a kid and figure out where the OCD came from?
I did. And here's what happened. So my parents were married for the first 4 years of my life, happiest times ever. But then they got divorced. And I'm going to make a long story short, but my mom started dating this really famous, well-known guy. And she fell madly in love with him. And after a few months, he broke up with her.
Wow.
And that night, I'm a 4-year-old kid, and I hear screams coming from my mom's bedroom.
Mm.
And I grab my 6-year-old sister, and we run in her room, and she's on the ground with an empty pill bottle next to her.
Oh,
She had
goodness.
tried to take her own life. Now,
Goodness.
we all know things happen to all of us, right? But as a 4-year-old, you make a decision. And the decision I made is that I'm not enough for my mom to want to stick around.
Mm.
So what is the story that you carry with you from something that happened then? So basically, we moved out to Colorado, and this guy came searching out for her and knocked on the door one day, came inside and said, hey, I want to marry your mom. But the only way I'm going to marry her is if I get your permission. My sister said, yeah, that'd be great. I'd love it.
Wait.
And I
This
said,
was the same guy or a different guy?
same guy
Wow.
comes chasing
Wow.
after us. We moved to get out of there. We moved to Colorado. Thank God my mom didn't succeed. And my sister said, yeah, that's great. And I said, no, you can't marry my mom. But he married her anyway.
Mm.
And so the second decision I make is that I don't have a voice. Anyhow,
Wow.
these stories were part of it, but the biggest thing was they got married. They were married for 13 years. And after 13 years, he asked for a divorce. And even
Wow.
though I'm a 16-year-old, girl who's grown up a lot, I go back to my 4-year-old brain that says the last time he did this, my
Mm.
mom tried to take her life.
Mm-hmm.
And so every single waking moment, I was doing and being everything I needed to be and do to make life worth living for her, to be
Wow.
her everything. So my whole purpose in life was making sure I was enough, I was achieving, I was taking care of her, I was making her happy, I wasn't a problem, I wasn't a worry. And that pressure as a 16-year-old. But here's the interesting thing that I want to bring up, because my mom is an extraordinarily strong and amazing woman.
Mm-hmm.
Her memory of this time is totally different to mine. She looks
Yes.
back and says, oh my God, I finally had my freedom. I could be who I wanted to be.
Now,
What I remember
you're talking about when the divorce.
after they divorced, and
She felt a
I'm
sense of
literally
freedom, but you were still going back to that 4-year-old, and you were going back to number one, I didn't have a voice, right? And number two, I'm not good enough for my mom.
So I need to be good enough. I
Mm-hmm.
need to be good enough. I need to be a straight A student. I need to be like the highest scorer on the field hockey, ice hockey, and lacrosse team. I need to never have a problem. I need to never make mistakes. I
That's
need to
where
be
the OCD came.
totally.
Yep.
And in that, when you get wrapped up in what you need to be for the people around you, you totally lose track of who you are.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because you
So
become serving of others.
exactly. So I lost myself. So when I'm finally free of this and thinking, okay, well, I get to create my experience of life in order to focus on what I love and what I want to create. What do I love? What do I want to create? I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what happened from there is, one of the well, I don't know if we want to go here. You ask your next question, because I could go on forever,
No,
Nate,
no,
but
no. I think this is great because there's so many people out here viewing this right now. They see where you're at. They see where I'm at. They see where everybody else is at. And maybe they're where I was at or where you
yes.
were at or in between. And
So
maybe they feel like your mom felt that night. Maybe they feel like me and you felt at times, like just giving up
yeah.
and crying. I'm sure you've cried along the way. I don't know any successful people that haven't broke down and cried. And maybe they're here to lever up their life, and they need to hear your story because there is, I ain't going to say there's hope. There's more than hope, guys and girls. Like, you can get out here, and if you do what she said, changed her life, you begin to take your energy and you use it to focus on the things you want. And you always look at the glass as being half full, not half empty. Do not be a pessimist. Do not kill your energy. So I think they need to hear your story. It is amazing what you've been able to do with your life, where you came from. And it's just a testament of what we can do as humans. If you put your mind to doing something, you could do anything.
Absolutely. And it's staying connected to you. One of my first discoveries is that I was gay, which was like, oh, great. Like, this is all I need is dealing
Mm-hmm.
with this.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
in
that
that,
didn't fit in too well with pleasing the mom and having a
nothing.
voice. I mean, it's like, so.
Right. But it was meant to be my path. And I kind of was working at getting comfortable with that. And I got a phone call from my father one day, who's my hero, my real father, my hero, my everything.
Wow, that's awesome.
And he was crying on the other end of the phone, bawling. And he couldn't even speak. And when he finally spoke, he said he heard that I was gay. This couldn't be true. I couldn't possibly have a daughter that's gay. I beg you, tell me this isn't true. And I said, Dad, I'm gay. Just, I'm the same me. Just please love me anyway.
Yep.
He hung up the phone.
Wow.
And I didn't hear from him for the next 2 years.
Oh,
And
goodness, man.
after that, I was lucky if I got a call on Christmas. But here's the thing, here's the gift in this that I realize now. I didn't realize it at the time. In that moment, and you may, those of you listening, you may be rejected at some point in time, and
That's
it may
right.
break your heart.
That's
But let
right.
me tell you something. What I know now is that his rejection was the ultimate gift, because it set me on this desperate mission to prove to myself
Wow.
that even as a gay woman, I can achieve extraordinary things. I
Mm-hmm.
can make a difference in this world. I can inspire people, and I can be loved.
That's
I
right.
can
That's
be
right.
loved by, I can love myself. I can find, worthiness from within. Had that not happened, would I have taken on this
Mm-hmm.
goal that started like basically a week later, where I fall in love with triathlon, swimming, biking, and running? I'd only been a hockey player, lacrosse.
Hey, but hockey players are the meanest, baddest. They said that is the hardest sport. They said that is the hardest sport to do. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh man, that was my freedom, playing ice hockey, lacrosse. That was my therapy. That's where I took all my stuff out. So yeah,
And
it
now,
gets
where
pretty.
did you grow up for the viewers?
I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, went to Brown University in Rhode Island. And at this point, when I started triathlon, I'm in Worcester, Massachusetts,
Okay,
and
okay.
didn't know how to swim. So, it's like, who was I to think? Because my dream when I discovered triathlon was, I want to be the best in the world. But what a joke. I don't even know how to swim. I'm 23 years old. Like, who am I to think that I can be the best in the world in this sport where, Olympic swimmers and bikers and
The
runners
best
are
in the
participating?
world, two-time world champ. And all because she made a decision. And because she took her energy and she realized that, and look, your dad, that was nothing against, look, guys, if you find out something about your kid or whatever, like, does it really matter? Just be accepting and love them for who they are. It's okay. One day what do they say? Don't take life too serious. Nobody gets out alive, right? And
And there's a
so,
happy ending, though, because I want to make sure I share the happy ending, Nate.
yep.
It took me, because 20 years went by, and I think as humans, people hurt us, and we sometimes hold on to that anger, that resentment, that blame for a lifetime, and that
Mm-hmm.
disempowers us.
That's
That
right.
gives us an excuse as to why we're not as successful as we want to be, or why we don't have the relationship that we dream of. Like, blame is so disempowering. And one day, just about, and this was thanks again to Tony Robbins, I'm at an event and he said, "Hey, forgiveness is for you. When you
Mm.
blame someone for all the bad in your life, you also need to blame them for the good." And I
Okay,
thought
wait.
about,
That's a lot. Can
it's
you
a
break
lot.
that and
It's
explain that down
important.
for the audience?
So,
Well, I'm saying for the audience, I mean me.
oh yeah, yeah, right. I mean, this is so crucial. When we blame people, so for so long, I blame my dad for all the sadness, for me not feeling enough no matter what I did, for me not being as successful as I wanted to be at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to blame him for all of that, don't I need to blame him also for everything good that happened? Man, I went from
Mm.
not being able to swim to 8 years later being the best in the world. I went on to
Yes.
coach athletes to world championship crowns, Olympic medals. Like, would I have been that person
Got it. Got it.
if
He gave
he
you the
hadn't?
motivation that you needed to lever up. Without him, well, guys, what she's saying, without him doing that, so she had to get rid of her resentment that she had because, and you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm struggling with that right now.
Well, this is for you then, Nate.
Maybe that's the takeaway. And I'm going to tell you guys, like, my parents are mixed up in religion real bad. And my thing was, look, man, you guys were already terrible parents, right? Now you're being terrible grandparents because you can't come see my kids because all these ridiculous little rules you got. And, well, it's their birthday and I can't see them. Like, what? So I've been very resentful towards them. And maybe you're speaking to me. Maybe it's time for me to lever up my mind and forgive them And I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as this is not coincidence today.
That's right. This is not coincidence. And Nate, it's the kind of thing that has to happen like today, because
Yes.
forgiveness is for you. I called my father. This is 20 years later. I call my father and I said, Dad, you absolutely broke my heart, but I forgive you. And I actually want to thank you. I want to thank you for
Wow.
being exactly the father I needed you to be, to become the woman that I am so proud to be today.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
in that, Nate, most important thing, I freed myself. But the second thing, my dad expressed me, and you may not get this response, and that's okay. You need to be okay with that. But he said, I have been in so much pain. I have suffered so much over what happened. I did the best that I could with what I knew at the time. He was born to people that thought being gay was the ultimate sin. Like, this is all he knew. And what then I remembered is that he did try to call me throughout those 20 years. But guess what I did? Every time I answered the phone, I took that as an opportunity for me to just purge all my anger, all my resentment, to tell him what a horrible father he is. Would you want to call me if every time you tried to call me, all I did was spit in your face and make you feel horrible? No. So he stopped calling. So I had to forgive myself too. I had to say, Siri, you did the best that you could with the tools and the strategies you had at the time. Now that you know better, you can do better. Now that my dad knows better, he does better. He calls me every single day. He celebrates me and my wife like he is the most incredible dad. That may
Man,
not
Siri,
happen.
you do not understand. My father called me this morning and he said, when can I come see you guys? And I'm so resentful because the only time we're busy, we travel a lot. And they can't come over because it's a holiday when we got time, or it's we're having a birthday or we're celebrating, and they can't come to those type of things because of their religion. And so just this morning, before this podcast, actually 30 minutes before, I denied him. I said, nah, I don't know when we're going to have time to see you guys because I don't want to get rejected. I don't want to plan something that he doesn't come. So I want to thank you. That is so, I feel like you are speaking directly to me, and you just gave me the tools to understand exactly. Like, I really feel like, you know what? I got to call him and my mom and get them both on the line and
Nate,
tell both of them. Go ahead.
Please let me give you some clarity, because I want you to do that like today.
I'm going to do it today.
But I want to give you some clarity. I want you to ask yourself, and everyone listening, ask yourself, what are your greatest qualities? What makes you you? Nate, look at what you have accomplished in your life. Look at where you were and where you are today. Look at the impact you're having on this world. Would you be this Nate if they hadn't been the parents?
Hey, Siri, here it goes. If you didn't hang me over that cliff by my ankles when I was 4 years old, I probably would have never went on to be a drug dealer and went to prison twice and caught 4 felonies, which then allowed me not to work for somebody else and then ultimately allowed me to do real estate. So it's like,
so would you be who you are today if it wasn't
absolutely
for
not? I would probably be working for somebody else. Who knows? I would not be where I'm at today. You are absolutely right. And so, listen, guys and girls, this is great. This is great. And I feel like I needed to hear that, but I didn't know I needed to hear that. So I know many of you are faced with the same things, and she's saying you got to lever up your forgiveness.
Yes. And guess what that levers up? Your performance in every single aspect of your life. You will be an even better dad. You will be an even better husband. You will be an even better source of light in this world. Because when you release this, you are letting go of the chains, the heaviness, the ball and chain of disempowerment, which is blame, which is anger, which is resentment. And you suddenly free yourself to truly be all that you were destined to be. This
That's right.
forgiveness is for you, Nate, but it's also for them. You know what? They did the best that they could with the tools that they had. And I bet you, I mean, obviously your dad calling you and trying to get together, he's trying. So forgive yourself, first
Mm.
of all,
Mm-hmm.
for shutting him down every time. But now that you know better, go do better and do it today. Don't
Thank you.
wait. Don't
Thank
wait.
you. Thank you. That means so much. And I am still resentful. He doesn't, but that's I got to get over that. And I
You
thank you
get
for
over
that.
it for you. You let go of it for you because guess what? That is something, it's just an extra weight that you don't need to carry.
That's right.
Now,
That's right.
it doesn't make it okay what they did. I'm not saying that, yeah, hang me upside down over a cliff. I'm not saying that's okay. But what I'm saying is that as long as you hold on to that anger and resentment, that's only holding you back. And
Mm-hmm.
you've
Mm-hmm.
held that, you've carried that for
I
far
think
too
I've
long.
forgiven that part, but then it was like, oh, here it goes again. Now you guys can't come see my kids on their birthdays. You can't come see us because every time we get together, family function, you're sitting here, you're watching your family die off, and you're letting all this ridiculous stuff come over. You can't even see your brothers and sisters, and like, what are you doing? Like, you're not even, you pulled our whole family apart because of this ridiculousness.
So here's the thing. We often in our lives, we're waiting for everyone else to change. We're waiting for everyone else to change to make everything okay. The only thing we can control is that we can change how you respond to them, how you react to them, how you show up, how you know, what meaning you give everything that happened. You can
Mm-hmm.
change that, and that can change your entire life. And in that, there's an energy shift that they will feel that will help facilitate their change. But it starts with us. It starts with us. Now, had I called my dad and forgiven him and thanked him and I never saw him again, I'd still be where I am today, free of all of that heaviness that I carried for so long.
Mm.
I just had that added bonus that my dad stepped up and became a really phenomenal and amazing dad. But don't expect that. Don't go in with expectations. Just go in with the appreciation that you are now free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because I'll tell you what, a couple of years ago, I got diagnosed with AML and I was given very little chance of surviving. And one of the first things that I just instinctively knew that I had to do to not just survive this, but thrive on the other side was to sweep out my soul. And what I mean by that is letting go of all my anger, all my resentment, forgiving people that had let me down, forgiving myself for the mistakes that I made. And in that, I cleared out space for the healing to move through me.
Mm.
Because that
Wow.
stuff, anger, resentment, that is dis-ease.
Can I say this without being,
Please.
it's toxic, and I don't want to say cancerous, but it's toxic. And
It
so
is.
those toxins in your body, you were able to mentally cleanse them out, and that allowed your body, the physical components of it, to cleanse that out.
Yeah. And energetically releasing those people, knowing that that's for
Wow.
me. That is for me. The people where if you're thinking, those of you listening, if you're thinking, no, like that is just unforgivable. Okay, I hear you.
It's
Some of the
not
things
for
that
them,
people
it's
do,
for you.
it's for you. It's to
Wow.
release you from the chains of disempowerment that come
Mm.
with this blame and resentment. Free yourself to live your best life and, stop them from holding you back in every single area because you're holding on to it. You got to let it go.
Mm.
You've got to remove the dis-ease so that you are clearing out space to truly step into your power and create the life that you dream of. It's up to you. And it's one
That
step.
is, I cannot tell you how bad I needed to hear that. And I feel like you're talking directly to me, but I know that there's many people out here in the audience that need to hear that too.
Yes. Yes.
What you just told me today, guys, I don't know. You guys need to go back and listen to this. If this is not changing your life, you have a relationship out here. You have somebody. It could have been 20 years ago. You have somebody that you need to forgive. Not for them, but for you. So that your body can function in a way, your mind can function in a way that it's meant to function.
Yes.
So anybody that feels like you're doing that, I'm just going to challenge you today to find a way to let go. You've given me a clear vision and a clear path, and I cannot tell you right now. I've been, since you said that, I've been looking forward to the conversation, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to do it. Even though I'm talking to you, it's going to be my mom and my dad, and I'm going to get them both on the line, and I'm going to tell them I want to thank you guys, because if it wasn't for your actions, I would not be who I am today.
Yes. Amen.
And I am going to, and I'm challenging you guys to do this too. I am going to find time for my mom and dad, because before I found out, I don't really want to do that, because
punishment.
It's punishment. I'm punishing them subconsciously without even knowing it, because they don't want to be who I want them to be. So who's really wrong? Is it them or me? Right? It's
Beautiful.
me. I have to reflect, and I have to own that. And I thank you for that.
Well, I thank, Tony Robbins gave me this gift 5-6 years ago. And it truly, I believe, changed my life, set me free to truly be all that I'm meant to be. And the fact that I can share that gift with you now is, I believe, one of the reasons why I'm still here today, because I think this is something that every single human being on the planet can do to free themselves. It oftentimes is that thing, that energy that is keeping you from all the success and fulfillment that you so deserve. So thank you, Nate, for being open to this. Thank you for embracing this. Thank you for allowing me.
Thank you for being open, because I'm always afraid when you're interviewing somebody and on the podcast that you're going to ask them something they're not comfortable with.
I feel like we need to speak about these things that
know that because you've already made it through, and I've already made it through. I'll tell you about everything, man. But a lot of people, they haven't made it through to that level yet, where they're still ashamed. If you're ashamed of something, look, man, that is something you got to overcome. That is, if somebody's going to judge you for something, that's their insecurity and their fears. That's not your problem. That's their problem. So
yes.
What she's talking about, you need to release. You need to release all that toxins that you're hanging on to, that you're holding on to. And one of the things that made me want to be as vocal as I am and tell everybody, when I was a drug dealer, oh boy, I had to hold everything in. And I got such an outgoing, I couldn't go to a bar or hang out hey, how you doing? My name's Nate. I'm a drug dealer. What do you do? And so it was, I had to be that's just not my personality. It killed me. I felt like I was dying. And man, when them 7 years got up, it was like my attorney said 7 years, they got to come back and indict you. When them 7 years came up, I was like, woo. I felt, and that's when I started going out here speaking, telling people about my past. So you guys need to go out here and you need to speak on your failures, because in your failures is where ultimately your success comes from.
Yes. And Nate, what I love so much about you and the work that you do is, here you are, this amazing success. And I think that this is our responsibility.
That's right.
Is to tell the whole story so that people can see themselves in us. People can say, man, I had crippling OCD like that. No one in that day, no one ever spoke about what these behaviors were that I was doing. That's where all the shame lay. So I want to be that voice that says, hey, you know what? You can have crippling OCD. You can want to take your own life, and you can deal with all these things in your past and still be a huge success in the future. You are not alone.
That's right.
The road to success, you're going to be doubtful. You're going to have fears. You're going to get anxious. You're going to fail over and over again. But guess what? Nate right here, who's the ultimate success, is here to say, if I can do it, you can too.
No, you are. Look, we both are.
We're
And,
both
and, and
up.
look,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it away. I'm just going to tell you guys that, look, if you are not failing, then you will not succeed. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying.
That's right.
And there is no success without failure. And that's what you hear from everybody over. Have you ever met anybody that was successful that didn't fail time and time and time and time again? It is only those people that fail and continue to get up. And you failed many times. You went through your life and you went on to become a 2-time world champ triathlete after being judged by the world, after being judged coming out and saying I'm gay, after being judged by your father who you loved and adored dearly. Then you went on to become a 12-time winner of the ITU World Cup. Tell us about that. Tell us about, you've already told us, see, she took the projection of others and turned that into motivation to succeed. And she turned her OCD, it was a gift. A lot of you guys, if you're OCD, you don't realize you have an amazing gift. You have an amazing gift to focus on something over and over and over again. Yes. Once you learn to focus that on the right thing, oh man, you can become super successful. Tell us how you were, and did you subconsciously years later realize that you used your OCD to focus and hone in on success, or did it just kind of happen?
Absolutely, that was a part of it. And I think I want to mention, in the moment where I decided, I had just done my first race, I came in dead last, humiliated myself, people laughed at me. That's how bad I was.
And how did you feel? How did you feel in that moment, though?
I knew that I had to do this to find a love and respect for myself.
So when you said you failed and came in dead last, like how bad was it?
Like it was like embarrassing. Like I crossed the line and everybody was pretty much gone except for my mom who'd packed everything up. But I had never felt so alive in my entire life because I was doing this thing that I knew was meant for me.
Wow.
But that night I started crying because suddenly I'm remembering the things people were saying and the looks on people's faces. And I declared that I was going to be the best in the world one day. My mom nearly cried. She's like,
you declared that night that you were going to be the best in the world?
I did.
What did your mom say?
She just almost started crying and was like, I think my daughter's lost her mind. But here's the thing.
Wow.
We all tell ourselves stories, right? In that moment, I could have said, I'm in love with this sport, but I can't swim, just came in dead last. It's not for me.
That's right.
That's one story I could have chosen. Instead, I said, you know what? I'm a 3-sport varsity athlete. I'm very athletic. I've got great work ethic. I've got a tremendous ability to focus. Like I can be the best in the world one day. Now,
the tremendous ability to focus.
Yes.
So if you are out here struggling with, and look, guys, I was ADHD, which I realized how to learn that. That's how I knew when you said OCD, I was like, oh, same thing. It's a gift or a curse, depending on how you use it.
That's right.
So if you're out here struggling with OCD, just know that it can be a huge gift. And she's going to share with you later how you can follow her, how you can get a hold of her, how you can see her story and understand how to flip that switch that she was trying to switch in Brown University. Ultimately, take that, flip that switch, and use that OCD to become hyper successful. And I did the same thing with my ADHD. I just learned, hey, I can focus on multiple different things at the same time. 5, 6, 7 different things where most people got to be linear focused. I can do all this different stuff, and my mind is 5 different things, 6 different things, whatever.
Yeah. So is it your curse or is it your superpower? You get to choose.
You get to choose. You get to choose.
You get to go first.
Okay, here. What if I told you that you're going to have a gift, and this gift is going to allow you to focus where other people give up? You are going to stay the path until you figure out the solution, until you become the very best. Are you going to say, I don't want that? So if you have OCD, know that that's what you have. But what can you tell people? And I think I know the answer, but what can you tell people that are struggling with that? How do they transfer that gift that they have over here from being a liability to an asset?
So just like in that moment after that first race, I think in every moment we get to decide, we get to go first in deciding what story we want to live. Okay. So I wanted to live the story that I'm going to be a champion in this sport. Therefore, I'll give you kind of a tool to use. You have this future you that is going to achieve this goal that you've set for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What would that future you know about your OCD? She would know, or he would know, that OCD is going to give you tremendous focus, which is going to give you a superpower as far as getting this done. What would that person believe about their OCD? That, okay, that's why I have this, because I'm going to direct it and channel it towards this goal.
That's it.
It
doesn't allow you to give up.
That's right. But the questions continue. It's like, what would that future me, the one that knows that she's going to become a world champion, what would she do? What actions would she take?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's going to move out to Boulder, Colorado, the mecca of the sport. She's going to surround herself with amazing athletes that know what they're doing. She's going to read every book, every magazine about the sport. She is going to live her life as if she already is that person that can win a world championship. So in every moment, we get to choose, what story in life do you want to live, and who do you need to become to live that? You start acting, doing, believing, knowing exactly what that future you
So
would.
you start, and listen, all great people, you start envisioning your life the way you want it.
Yes.
Then you start moving towards that.
Mm-hmm.
If you envision your life as this crappy life where you're going to be depressed, where you're never going to be anything, where you're going to live this mediocre life, you're going to have it, aren't you?
Yeah.
But if you envision this life as being the best in the world, even when you just came in last place, guys, she didn't say she just came in last place. She came in last place in an event that was, how long was that? That was several hours long, right?
No, my first one was meant to be like an hour race, but it took me like 2 hours. I mean,
it took you 2 hours. The other people finished at an hour and 10 minutes. Everybody's gone. You get back to the stadium, everybody's gone. You're finishing the final leg. Your mom's packed up like, man, I wonder if you got injured, right? But you didn't give up. You finished the race.
Because I wasn't willing to live that story that this isn't for me, because I'd fallen in love with this. This is going to be the vehicle through which I found myself. I refused to live. It's like when I got diagnosed, my doctor, the tone of his voice, my wife, she's bawling. Everyone around me from their actions was telling me that this is the end.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Willing.
You're like, hey, what's wrong with you guys? That's not my diagnosis. That's yours, right?
Although I have to be, honest and say in that moment, I'm terrified. I'm devastated. Like, I can't believe my ears, but I can't afford to live the story that they're telling me that this is the end. So again, it starts with a declaration when you don't even believe it yourself, where, this is not my time to go. I'm going to survive and I am going to thrive. And then it's like, okay, so what do I need to do to become that person that's going to thrive? But I'm not asking, you're not going to believe it in that moment, because, how could I? I'm just being told I've got this horrible, deadly disease. But I knew that in order to not die, I had to decide to live another story, which was I was going to triumph. So then it became, well, how do I do that? What decisions am I going to make? What actions am I going to take? What am I going to believe about this? Well, I'm going to believe that this is, everything I'm going through now is preparing me for what I asked for. And that's to have, an amazing, fulfilling life where I have a great impact. I can touch lives. I can make a difference. Maybe it's in overcoming this that I will have more of an ability to do that. I gave it an empowering meaning. I disciplined my thoughts and focus in every single moment, not thinking about how sick I was, how weak I was, how terrified I was, but changing the channel to how grateful I was to have amazing doctors, donors, family that loved me, 2 arms, 2 legs. I kept moving every day.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I still got oxygen in my lungs. Oh, man.
Like, what can you appreciate? And in disciplining my focus, and guys, this was all day long. I'm having to change the channel in my mind. But man, that served me because it set me, all I was focusing on was the outcome I had in mind, which was surviving this and thriving on the other side. Give it an empowering meaning. Any challenge that you're faced with, give it an empowering meaning. What else could this mean? Who
That
will
is
I
so.
become? Who will I become because of this? And then,
Mm,
disciplining your thoughts in every single moment. And also, I think, in times of great uncertainty, like, when all of us went through COVID and,
mm-hmm.
uncertain times, it's up to you to create habits and rituals that give you certainty. So
Mm.
what I did, like, I know that when I work out, like, that makes me feel strong. That gives me
Gives you
confidence. It gives me
endorphins.
energy.
Yeah.
So every day, even if it meant being in the hospital and going from the bed to the couch to the chair to the bed, I moved every single day because that's a habit that I've done every day of my life that I know brings me energy. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
going through uncertain times, what are the habits? What are the things that you do that make you feel alive, that give you energy, that make you feel strong? Do those things multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
suddenly you've created certainty within a really uncertain time that is going to see you not only overcome this challenge, but that will see you thriving on the other side. But this is all up to you. Like, it's all in your
Yes.
hands.
Yes. Yes, it is. So you made a decision several decades ago, few decades ago, right?
Yeah.
And that decision ultimately, at that light, when you were flipping that light switch, what was your decision? I mean, I just need to hear it again because this is one of the most amazing things. And I need you guys to get this. Whatever you're struggling with in your life, believe me, you see successful people, they didn't get there without struggle. They all have a story. And that's something that I really, really realize. Even the guy that's wearing the suit that looks perfect, everything looks perfect. If you really sit down and you talk to him, you'll see there was something there. Nobody gets out unscathed. But ultimately, you are in charge of your life. You are in charge of where it ends up at. And if you could just go back one more time, I got to hear the story about where the light switch flipped for you.
Well, I'm sitting there, and you know what? I think I reached a point where I just didn't want to suffer anymore. And I had two options. One option was just to end it. The other option was to recognize the truth that my experience of life is up to me.
Mm.
And what I experience comes from what I focus on, the meaning I give the things that happen to me, and what I do about it. And I decided I will no longer be a victim, live this tragedy.
Guys,
That's
she's
not,
talking to you.
this
She's
is not the
talking to
story I
me.
want to live. Yet this is not the story. I don't want my story to be one where I was a victim and it ends in tragedy. I want my story to be one where I'm the victor.
Victor, there
And
you
I create
go.
I create a masterpiece of my life. But that was up to me. But I think it comes down to I didn't want to suffer anymore.
Mm.
And you know what? If you don't want to suffer anymore, it's in your hands. You can make the decision today that in every single moment, I'm going to build the muscle of focusing on things that make me feel good, not bad, focusing on things that give me energy, not the things that derail me. I'm going to focus on the
Mm.
life I want to live, not the one I'm trying to avoid.
Mm.
That is up to you. And you make a decision in this moment right now, and then you discipline your focus, condition this until it becomes who you are. But that is up to you. And it's going to take work, just like anything. You want to be successful in conditioning your mindset to lead you to everything that you want in your life. And I'm talking as someone that this is so powerful
Mm-hmm.
that in 2 years of dealing not only with COVID in the world, but fighting AML, I was still able to find joy. I was still
It's
able to,
mindset. It's all mindset, guys.
so, but it's all, here's the good news. It is all in your hands. You don't have to go somewhere to get it. You don't have to travel to buy it. It's all inside of you already, but you have to make the decision to finally step up for you and go first in living the story and life that you want to live. It's all in your hands. And you commit to that. You be willing to do the work, which is so worth it. You will be living that life you dream of. No doubt.
So audience, she's speaking to every last one of you. We all got some calls to make.
Yes.
We all have some mindsets to change. We have some ideas about our life that we have to change. I know today I will be making a call that has been haunting me for 47 years. I want you guys to write down who you're going to call, who you're going to forgive today. Because this right here is one of the greatest. I just feel like I was in the greatest session with the greatest counselor ever, motivational speaker, and I'm going to go fix my life today. I am. I'm going to fix that part. My life on the surface looks great, you know, other than the extra 100 pounds I got. But, hey, well, you know why I got this? I'm waiting on what's the survival thing? You know, when the world comes in, I got plenty of food.
Yeah,
with me, you know.
Stop it. Oh my gosh.
But Siri Lindley, that is an amazing testimony. Where can people get a hold of you? Where can they hear more about you? Where are you going to be speaking? Where can we go? You guys got to get more of this, man. You guys, it's amazing. For those of you that didn't hear the whole story, go back in. It's life-changing for me. And I want to just personally tell you, thank you.
Well, your words mean everything to me, Nate. They really do. Thank you so much. And I would love to have you all follow me. I'm at Siri Lindley on Instagram, at Siri Lindley on Facebook and Twitter, but also my wife and I do amazing work rescuing horses, and we are trying to ban the slaughter of horses for human consumption, which is a really brutal practice. But when we save horses, we're actually saving humans because these horses are healers. So if you want to learn more about that, follow us at Believe Ranch and Rescue. It is what drives everything I do in my life. So I'd love for you to experience that, but I'd love to have you in my life. So Nate, thank you for bringing me together with your amazing listeners, and for you for being such an incredible light and inspiration and force for good.
No, thank you for those kind words. And guys, if you want to lever up your life, if you want to donate, do you guys have a place to donate for the for your passion?
That would be amazing. At www.believeranchandrescue.org. Again, even if you don't love horses,
we'll put that link below. Put that link below, guys.
Great. Even if you don't love horses, if you love humans, know that these horses are helping veterans, preventing them from committing suicide because of their PTSD. These horses are reducing recidivism of prison inmates by 50% in the prisons that use programs with horses. They're finding that it cuts the recidivism rate by 52%. So these horses are true.
Can you explain to people what recidivism is?
Yeah. So basically, our prison system now, which you would know about, Nate, you know, it's like a 60 to 70 billion dollar reform system, but
there's no reform in there.
There's no reform. 67% of people that leave prison are rearrested. 52% of prisoners that are released are reincarcerated.
Yep.
So there were
I was one of those 52%.
That's
and
right.
One of those 67%.
Wow. So now they have programs only at like 6 or 7 different prisons where they bring in horses. And the goal is that, well, the idea is that the prisoners gentle the horses. But what has ended up happening is the horses are gentling the prisoners. And they go back into society and they become responsible members of society because of the work they did with these horses. There's actually research done. And the prisons that have this program with the horses had seen a 52% decrease in the number of inmates being reincarcerated.
Wow.
So what does this mean? It means, our communities are safer. It
Well,
means
you're
that,
taking these people who need to be rehabilitated, and you're helping rehabilitate them.
and they have purpose. They have a new understanding of themselves. They become responsible members of society like you, who are doing great things in the world. But it all
Thank you.
starts with
Thank you.
horses. So,
And you too, and I'm going to go on there and donate. And I ask you guys, if it is something that you see a passion in helping an inmate and helping a horse and helping a veteran, go on there. Even if it's $1, if it's $100, $1,000, whatever you can donate, go on there. I promise that your money is going to be put to good use. It's her passion. And we want to thank you so much for all the advice. Guys, look, get off the podcast. Go make your calls and lever up your mind, lever up your life, lever up your relationships, lever up your bank account. We want to thank you so much, Siri Lindley. You have been awesome, and I can't wait to make this phone call. I am actually going to send you a message and let you know how it went.
Please, I will be looking out for that. And thank you so much, Nate. This was amazing.
Thank you. I love you, dear. I can't wait to see you in Cincinnati. Okay?
Soon.
Let me know. Hey, you want a drop top Bentley or something to drive? You let me know while you're here, okay?
You're amazing. I can't wait. I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nate. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have an amazing day.
You too.
Mm-hmm. Hey.